Good morning, grade 10s. Today we are going to discuss chapter 10 of Mother to Mother. Right, so in this chapter, Mandisa is describing the injustice that her people, the Xhosa people, had to deal with for generations. And this gives the reader an inside perspective on the deep roots of the anger and the hatred that spurred violence in Mkhulisi, which is Mandisa's son. Right, so a number of important themes are touched in this chapter. The meaning of motherhood, the importance of shared history, so we'll be having a little bit of a history lesson as well, and also the power that hatred has. Okay, so Mandisa's father, came home on payday when Mandisa was a little girl, with barely enough money for survival. And Mandisa's mother exclaimed, we have come thus to hunger, for white people stole our land. So Mandisa, from a young age, she learned from her parents' complaints that the white people are the oppressor and that she is part of a wider body of oppressed people. Then in schools at that time, the black South Africans were funded by the white government, and thus the government has control over what children learn about their own histories. That's very scary, because that means that the black children were lied to by the white people, and Mandisa's misinterpretation of the story of, and excuse my pronunciation here, Nonkwawuse, shows that the government drastically altered or changed this legend to further degrade black South Africans and make fun of their sacred narratives and culture. Right, and then Mandisa's grandfather, Tatomkhulu, sees it as his duty to educate Mandisa about the current political climate under apartheid. Right, at that time it was 1948, but he doesn't start the history at the beginning of apartheid. He reaches 3 centuries back, starting with colonialism, when the white settlers came and took the land from the Xhosa people. So in doing so, Tatomkhulu points out colonialism's legacy, suggesting that it is still present and evil 300 years later. Right, so Nonkwawuse said that they are supposed to kill all the cattle and burn their crops. This was called the prophecy Xhosa cattle killing in 1856 to 1857. Right, if you need more information about that, you can just Google Nonkwawuse. Okay, and just something that I want to share with you, just an extra bit of a history behind the Xhosa killing, or the cattle killing. She exclaimed, that is Nonkwawuse now, she exclaimed that the spirits had told her that the Xhosa people should destroy their crops and kill their cattle, the source of their wealth as well as food. In return, the spirits would sweep the British settlers into the sea. The Xhosa would be able to replenish the granaries and fill the kraals with more beautiful and healthier cattle. During this time, many Xhosa herds were plagued with lung sickness, possibly introduced by European cattle. By 1856, many cattle had died, and the Xhosa believed that the deaths were caused by umutu, which is witchcraft. Right, that is just a little bit of the prophecy of the cattle killing. Okay, so then, as previously mentioned, the white government has seen this hatred and has tried to destroy it. Their means of doing so involved lying to their children in the schools. And this is part of the theme, the importance of shared history. Right, so The reader is finally taught about the origins of the oppression of black people in South Africa and learns, along with Mandisa, not to trust the white man in any regard. When the settlers arrived, they took what they wanted from the people already living there by introducing money, and they called it the button without a hole. To the Xhosa people, they took advantage of the weak state of the community in order to gain control of the group and create a dependency. Mangona, which is the writer of Mother to Mother, writes of the situation in which the eruption of this hatred into violence is more than inevitable, because it is 300 years and coming. So apartheid is basically just like the cherry on top. So just something that I want you to have a look at. The writer addresses the power of words in two ways in this chapter. The first way that she does this is through Mkhalisi's silence. You can read there what I wrote. And then the second way Mangona addresses the power of words is through Mandisa's ability to think the word murder. And then you can read further there what I try to explain to you. Finally, in this chapter, we see Mandisa come to terms with her son's actions. Right, so up to about now, we thought that Mandisa actually hated her child because she didn't want the child and all of those things that Mandisa mentioned. So we thought that Mandisa didn't like her child. But as soon as she reunited with her son, she could come to terms with her son's actions. So on one hand, she's finally forced to face the truth, and although this does nothing to lessen her pain and her fear, it allows her to be finally reunited with her son. And here we will see the meaning of motherhood. On the other, we are also able to see her begin to accept her son's actions within the frame of her community's history. So there's a reason why Mkhalisi is a killer, or that he killed a white person. Mandisa's white teachers taught her that the Xhosa sacrifice was a sign of ignorance and should be looked down upon. Wetatomkhulu, Mandisa's grandfather, disagreed with this interpretation. He exclaimed what had seemed stupid decisions and acts that had seemed indefensible became not only understandable but highly honorable. So you can refer back to that on page 127. So in many ways, Mandisa is attempting to convince Amy's mother of the same about her son. Amy's mother should understand that hatred that has been coming for 3 generations. So we can see that Mandisa implicitly argues that Mkhalisi's murder of the girl is the bubbling up of 3 decades of oppression under the government's racist apartheid regime, and 3 centuries of oppression under colonialism and its legacy. So the reason why Mkhalisi did what he did, that anger that he had in him, he was just bubbled up. Mandisa learned it from her parents and her grandparents, and her grandparents learned it from their parents and their grandparents, and finally it was just a bubbling up, and unfortunately he killed the wrong person. Right, okay, grade 10s, so if you can just read chapter 11 thoroughly for me today, and we will discuss it in depth tomorrow. Then enjoy your day. Thank you. Bye bye.